George,
That's me,
I got
man.
I got to hit you with this one now. What was it for you? Was it the Andy Williams show? Was it the Miss Black America pageant?
When I first saw him,
Yeah,
or
that you
in
first.
fact,
Well, actually, when did you first? Your
well, I first
experience from the
saw
very
him. It
beginning.
was in the Soul magazine by Ken and Regina Jones, and I just saw some fellas that were the shot that they had. They were like standing out in the shrubbery, and there really was no glamour to it, and I didn't think that much of it. And then about a week or two later, the Miss Black America pageant with um, it was like
The
19,
impressions were on that
the
show.
Impression,
Stevie
Stevie
Wonder was on
Wonder,
that show.
they were
Right?
on the show. And here's this group called the Jackson Five. I said, oh, the Jackson Five, that's that group I saw in Soul magazine. And they came on, and
Now, if I may ask, and I'll let you finish, were they actually on the cover of Soul, the issue you saw, or they were
no,
just
they
like
were
in
in
the? Okay.
the cover was Diana Ross. No. It was a guy named O.J. Simpson who signed this big
Oh, when they right after he left
contract.
USC.
Yeah,
Okay.
but he said he had signed this big contract, and then way at the bottom it says Dinah Ross discovers new group.
Oh wow, they were and others.
Their names was back there, and so again seeing them on the Miss Black America pageant, I thought they were pretty cool. You know, they were doing the Isley Brothers "Is Your Thing," and they were dressed similar to how they are on the first "I Want You Back" album. So I think the next time I saw them was on, I think it was American Bandstand, because they premiered they
ABC.
premiered ABC.
So you didn't catch the Hollywood Palace back then when he did the Hollywood
I
Palace?
thought
I saw.
I didn't say that.
Oh, did you? Or maybe you
I
did,
thought
and
I
I
did.
missed
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
you did. Okay.
I said, yeah, yeah.
That was no. It's such a blur because Ed
Well,
Sullivan, the Hollywood Palace, they all were like literally like right on my
well,
timeline.
on the Hollywood Palace, that's when they premiered "I Want You Back,"
Okay.
and I remember Michael saying you could pick it up anywhere or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he was doing that that a certain dance step, I'll put it that way. But then another part that really got me with them, they started off with I think Sly Stone's "Simple Song,"
Simple song.
And then they did Can
Can
You
you remember
Remember,
Delphonic song?
the Delphonics. So I just everything started to grow as far as my interest.
Yeah. You know, for you youngsters, and the reason why we're spending so much time in the beginning of this, in reference to the beginning of the Five Boys from Gary, is because most of you would think Thriller and Off the Wall, but I'm telling you, that first run that they had from 69 through June of 72, and even that, the only reason why that kind of slowed up, and it did for everybody on the label, is because Barry was really starting to get into movies, Lady Sings the Blues, and what he was doing. And so I don't want to get too far ahead, but October 69, I Want You Back. February 1970, ABC, April or May was The Love You Save, and of course the album. And like right around August, here comes like I'll Be There and all this other stuff. And that run, just that first run, and that's not even going into like a little bit later on, which is, you know, Maybe Tomorrow and all this other stuff. It was a run unlike, I've not seen it to this day. I've been studying music more than I care, more years I care to remember. The closest thing I've seen to like an opening beginning of that is probably Whitney around 86 and 87, but the Jackson 5, there have never been anything like that. And before I let them really get into this, just so you guys don't know, the spirit of the music competition, because you had the Beatles with Let It Be that was out, you had Sign Still Deliver, you had the Spinners with It's a Shame, you had Tears of a Clown. In other words, you had some real serious music that was out, and they were clearly the number one group at that time. And tell me about your first experience, because they came here a few times to the Cow Palace. I didn't go to the first show.
I did. I went to the first show, but was
This was in 1970, the first time they
Oh,
came,
yeah.
right?
First,
Yeah.
that's with
Okay.
Rare Earth and Ike
I
Tina
had
Turner.
I had second row seats in the front. I was just like in seventh heaven. I got dropped off and I had second row seats. I couldn't even I had to stand in the seat because all the girls just swarmed the front of the stage, you know. But it was just so awesome. I was just like in seventh heaven, like I said. But the other thing that George and I have been married for 38, 39 years. We've been together 40, and we found out through our mutual interest in the Jacksons that we were at the same event regarding the Jacksons. He was working at a store called Whitefront.
That's where I got this board game at a couple
that
years
right?
down the line.
At Whitefront?
At Whitefront.
Okay, well, I found out that the Jacksons were going to make an appearance at Whitefront. Okay, so I got
No, which store, if I may add? Because
the one in El Cerrito.
okay, there's one
Yeah, we
else. San
passed by it.
Francisco had one also.
Yeah,
right
no,
there.
this is the one in
Okay.
El Cerrito.
Okay.
So I went, and there was just a mob of girls, and I got in to see them, and there was so many girls. I worked my way up as far as I could go. I couldn't go any further because there was a
barrier. Kind
barrier.
of.
Yeah, they have those
Sure.
those things to go to the checkout stand. But I remember seeing the teal vest that Jackie wore with the fringe.
Yeah.
It was like a blur, just boom. But unbeknownst to me, he was there too. But he was working there.
You actually worked at Whitefront?
Yeah, so what had happened with me, it was the first week of the opening. They had three major entertainers. They had Peter Breck, who played Nick Barkley on the
Big Valley.
Big Valley.
Oh, that's the one that's always fighting, the
Right,
tough one.
right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's the one you don't want to fight, y'all.
Nancy Wilson, she was scheduled to be there because she was promoting a cosmetic line. And in between both was the Jackson 5. So I had heard about it. I go to work, and I'm working as a utility person, like bagging groceries and product or whatever. And I was, they kept shifting me in different areas. So they had me in the crowd. I saw the crowd just building and building. And I was in the area where the carpet was. And my supervisor came over to me and says that the Jackson 5 are here, but they don't have security. And they need you among about 6 other guys to walk them to the autograph booth. So I said, okay. So I leave going toward the warehouse where they were corralled. And I got like maybe from here to maybe that front door, and the door opened, and there's Tito, which I didn't know his name, but I see he was a Jackson 5. Then all of a sudden they all start walking out. We got together, the workers, to walk them to the autograph booth, and everything was good. What I really remember about him was that Jermaine had this beaming smile on his face. And so they were there for a little, I guess an hour or whatever the time that they were there. And it was told that we need to get them back into the warehouse. Like I said, I just started working there, and I led them, or maybe I took the last, whatever. I was leading toward the warehouse, and I opened the door, and Michael and Marlon and this other guy and myself, we went in into wherever thinking it was the warehouse, but it was a storage closet.
He took Michael.
They hit the closet?
He took Michael and Marlon into a storage closet.
Because I thought I was going to take them into the warehouse.
Oh, so they were trapped.
Yeah.
Basically, because the fans were beating on the door, and knowing that the room was about the size, like from here to there, maybe. It wasn't that small of a room, but it was a storage room. So it was a guy there who I could tell he was part of their entourage. He was really cool, seeing that he said, okay, stay here with Marlon and Michael. So while I was there, I was getting autographs from my sister. Right?
Yeah.
My sister wasn't able to go. And then I remember I stuck my head out the door, and the guy who was coordinating with their entourage asked me to. He said, "Okay, I got it clear where we could get them right through." So eventually we got them into the warehouse, but that was another challenge because they're trying to think how are they going to get them out of the store.
Okay, before you go there, okay, so I'm on the other side with all the screaming girls, right? So they pull up a limo, okay, and the limo circle in the building. I grabbed on the side view mirror and I'm running with the limo, right, running around. And then they came out and said that they're gone. Now there was another occurrence that happened and I picked up on it and I said, they're in there. And then he comes along, we get married, and he tells the story. So go ahead and tell them how they left.
So what had happened, one of the workers said, well, I got a little Thunderbird. We could get them all into the Thunderbird, and then we could rendezvous over at Golden Gate Fields. So that's what they did. They all packed into that. Well, before they got to that, like I said, they were so approachable, and I was getting a lot of autographs from my sister because my sister wasn't able to go. And later on, I think the worker came back and said, yeah, they rendezvoused with the limousine at Golden Gate Fields.
Right, and I saw the Thunderbird go by.
But didn't put two and two together?
No, I did.
Yeah.
Right,
Oh,
I
did you?
said, oh no, they're in there. But I'm still holding on to the limo. But I could tell that they were in there. And then he confirmed it after we got together and shared the story.
Now, was that like during the first tour, like of 70, or was it 71?
Oh yeah,
No,
it was 70.
I'm glad. This, you know.
But I'm not sure, excuse me, I'm not sure if, was that,
I think it was before the concert.
Yeah.
before the concert?
No,
I
don't know if it was the same day, but-
Wasn't
Yeah.
the same date at all.
No, I'm loving.
Because let me tell you, later on, there's that book on Motown that I'm involved in. It was a man by the name of Weldon McDougall.
I know
McDougall, as you know, he's passed on, but he was
And for those of you guys may know, I'll let George finish. Weldon McDougall was a very instrumental guy in a whole lot of just different people's career. He was on Arctic Records with Barbara Mason. Matter of fact, he's the voice on, Yes, I'm Ready. He's been around a lot out of that Philadelphia area. Just a little history for you youngsters to know. But anyway.
Well, Weldon, he was, what had happened when the book came out about 20 years later, I gave him a call, and because I saw his credits, and just like I said, 20 years later, and he said, brother, where you calling from? I said, from the San Francisco Bay Area. And he went into detail. He said, well, I took an up-and-coming group, the Jackson 5, to this store, and this guy took me into this closet, and we had to rendezvous and this and that. I said, I was the guy who did it. I said, I don't believe it. I really talked. He said, that was like one of the most impactful, because they were popular, but they didn't really have any mate. He said, what happened in Richmond, Albany, that reshaped their security status because of that. They said they didn't realize, because we were going to shows, we saw the pandemonium, but it really wasn't to that secure purpose, degree. So, and he had told me, he was just reflecting the same thing that I had experienced.
And that's something.
It's
And when
amazing.
I met Linda, and this, I meet her 20 years later. And she tells
We got a message and I'm here